Have you ever wondered what's involved in writing an offer? Is it as simple as saying, hey, Bethany, I want to offer this price, I want to have a home inspection, and I want to close on this date? The reality of it is no. It is a lot more complex than that. And that's why you need a real estate agent. So I'm Bethany Warnches, real estate agent with Addison Jones, and you are watching Tuesday Talks with Bethany, where I answer real estate FAQs. So today I am going to talk about what writing an offer involves. So what forms are we using? How long does it take? All of that. So first of all, one of the questions may be, how long does it take to write an offer? Well, it depends on the situation. If you are a buyer who hasn't written an offer in a long time, if it's been a year, 5 years, or if you're a first-time home buyer, I would expect that it's going to take you an hour. I've had it take sometimes up to 2 hours. It really just depends on all of the questions that you have as we're going through the offer. Now, if you're someone who's been out in the market and you've missed out on a few houses and you're writing on your third house, well, then we don't have to get into all the nitty-gritty details of all the provisions again. I don't have to, re-explain them to you. You know what they are, and it's more so just really filling in those blanks. Same thing goes for investors that have maybe written many offers with, and we don't need to be redundant, and we just need to really hit those core blanks and fill those in because they know what the rest is. So it just depends on your situation. It could take a half an hour, it could take an hour, it could take 2 hours, really depends on your situation. Also, it's where I'm not just filling it out, based on what I'm thinking. It's where I'm either sitting down with you, or if we're doing it electronically, I'm calling you and we're talking through it. And you are going to direct me, how you want those provisions filled in. So you play that role. Now, as agents, we are not able to give legal advice. We're not able to give tax advice. And so if you have any questions that fall into those categories, you are going to reach out to your professionals there to answer those type of questions for you. So I want to now show you some of the forms, the basic forms that you would be seeing. And what's important to note is from firm to firm, some forms may be different or may be required at some firms and not others. There's a few forms I'm not even going to pull out today. I'm really just hitting the basics. And then area to area. So I am a member of the Realtors Association of Northeast Wisconsin. So, Fond du Lac, kind of up to the Fox Valley, Appleton area. And we have some forms that maybe if you are a Milwaukee agent, that you're not necessarily going to be seeing down there. So it's very area specific as well. So the first form that I'm going to show you here is called the Disclosure to Customers form. Now, myself as an agent, when I meet with buyers, I do a buyer meeting always right off the bat, and I go through this with them on day one. And the reason I do this is because it helps you understand that there are two different types of relationships that you can be in with your agent. So you can either be a client or you can be a customer. And it's not necessarily that I make someone pick on that day. I just want them upfront to understand the duties that are owed in each of the relationships, as well as how commission works. Now, if you have no idea what relationship you are in with your agent, it would be a good idea to ask them and have them explain that to you. But otherwise, you will likely see this before you write an offer, before you enter into negotiations, and this is the disclosure to customers when you are going into that customer relationship. After this form, you will likely see e-consent. So the consent for use of electronic documents and signatures. As you know, in today's day and age, the internet is huge, popular. We use it all the time. We are emailing, we are e-signing. So what this form talks about is that you consent to doing that. You feel comfortable and you have the proper software on your computer or your phone to do that, to get an email from your agent, to download a PDF of your document, or if they send you something in an e-signing software that you're comfortable and can handle doing that. So that's why we fill out out this form to make sure that you are capable and consent to doing that, which in today's day and age, we see almost all of the time. Next up, we have what's called the wire fraud warning. Wire fraud is very real and it's very scary. And so it's super important to always verify when you're going to be sending funds. It's important to verify who is on the other end of that funds and know that the right person and the right company is going to be receiving them. And so verify before you ever do anything. And so really it goes through the risks in here and making sure that you are doing those verifications before you ever send anything. Then I've got this little brochure here. So this says, protect your family from lead in your home. So if you are out looking at a property, any property that was built 1978 or prior, you should be getting one of these from your agent, whether it's a paper copy or they email it to you. So that is what is called target housing. And there very well could be lead-based paint in there somewhere from any house built 1978 or prior. So this is just the way to protect your family from it. We are required to give these out as agents for that very reason. Now, the seller then fills out a form as well called the Addendum S. And on here, they let you know if they have any knowledge of lead-based paint or if they have any records. And then it gives you your opportunity to test for lead-based paint or to waive it. And there are also some agents, no matter the age of the home, or also some firms, no matter the age of the home, do just decide to always fill this out. But for sure, 1978 or prior, it is going to be filled out, and you are going to have that opportunity to test or waive for lead-based paint. The next thing is called the Real Estate Condition Report. So a real estate condition report is kind of lengthy here. So you can see this. This thing is about 6 pages long. So sellers fill these out regarding their properties. And in it, they fill it out of anything that they are aware of or have notice of knowledge of that is a defect. So when they go through, they're able to check yes, no, or not applicable. And there's just different sections here. So we've got structural and mechanical, environmental, well, septic, storage tanks, taxes, special assessments, land use. So there's all these different categories in this condition report, and a seller is going to fill it out to the best of their ability. They're going to fill it out with the knowledge that they have. And so this is filled out always for 1 to 4 family properties. So a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, this is still getting filled out. There are some exemptions of when sellers may not have to fill them out, but for the most part, as a buyer, you are going to be receiving one of those and able to look over one of those and look at any of the notes that the seller has made about things that they are aware of that are not okay with their property. Then we come to the actual real offer here, which I'm gonna grab. So the real offer is 10 pages long. So again, that's a lot more than those 3 questions of price and home inspection and my closing date, and that's all there is to it. So here we go. We've got our 10-page offer. So what are some of the things that are in this offer? And I'm not gonna touch on all of it, but purchase price, yes, that is important. We're going to cover all the inclusions and the exclusions, talk about binding acceptance, so how long you are giving the seller to respond to your offer and accept it as it is written. Then closing, putting that closing date in there. It's going to cover earnest money, how much you're giving, and when you are giving that earnest money. Then we get into how earnest money all works. It covers the real estate condition report, inspections if you decide that you want to have a home inspection or any other testing, putting it in your offer, and how that whole contingency works. It's not just as simple as, yes, I want one, or no, I don't. There's more involved in that. Then your financing, so all that information that comes from your lender, or if you have a cash offer, proof of funds instead of a pre-approval, but gets things like your interest rate and your loan type and how many years your loan is, and just all that information that we normally get from your lender. Then there's the appraisal, are you having one, are you not, and how does that all work? Closing proration, so how taxes and other things are going to be prorated. Title insurance, most of the time people have never heard of title in their lives other than title for a car. So explaining that whole section and what that all means. There's definitions, just a page of them, and understanding what they mean. Talks about property damage between acceptance and closing, how that works, as well as when you get to walk through the property before closing, what happens in the case of default. The sex offender registry is on here. It's on many of our documents. It talks about what FERPDA is, and there's an additional provisions and contingencies area for anything that needs to be addressed or filled out. And that was just like a really quick, brief overview of what's all in 10 pages here. Then you do the Addendum A. So the Addendum A is one of those that vary from area to area. Like the one down in Milwaukee is different than the one that we have up here with RANW. So this, say you decided to waive an inspection or waive an appraisal, there's waiver boxes on here for those things. If there's any other testing you are doing, this is where it gets written in. Closing of buyer's property contingency. So if you have a house to sell before you can buy, there's a whole page here dedicated to how this operates, and that is in there. Radon, again, is in here. Seller contributions, if you are asking for closing costs, or there's a buyer agency fee ask, if you're asking a seller to pay some of your buyer agency fee. Repairs required by lender and negotiating those up front. Checking into things like insurability or floodplain, maps and surveys, zoning, all these different little things, home warranties. That's just a bunch of different little things in here, and even more. And this one is 7 pages long. So we go through this in great detail, make sure you're understanding everything that you're signing. And then the last one I have here is the Addendum B. So this really covers if there is well or septic, if you're buying a rural country property, what's involved in that, and if you're doing tests, who's doing the test, who's paying for the test, how many days you have to do them. All of that is covered in the Addendum B. And this here is 4 pages long. So what I just really want you to see is that it's not as simple as answering 3 or 4 questions and we're done. There really is a lot involved, and it's important to have an agent that goes through that with you in great detail, because you are signing a legally binding contract, and you can't just change your mind 3 days from now that you don't want to buy the house anymore. You're entering into a legal binding contract, so it's important that you understand what's going on and go through it in that great detail and really think about the decisions you're making, because you are making one of the biggest purchases of your life. So you should be taking it really seriously, and also be looking for that expertise and using an agent, especially for sale by owner situations, and trying to fill one of these out on your own is pretty scary. There's a lot in there that you're not familiar with and have no idea what it's talking about unless you really have an agent to guide you through it and explain it to you. So I hope that the next time that you are looking to buy, or it's time to write an offer, that you understand that there is a lot involved in it, and it's important to sit down with an agent, have them explain everything to you, and really think through your decisions. It's nothing you want to take lightly, because it really is such a huge purchase in your life.